Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geomologist Presents. You know what? I'm going to do another unboxing, but that's not all I'm going to do in this podcast or YouTube video. I'm going to have a guest come on, and we're going to talk about our experience with that we had today, play that we had today of the game Mothership by Tuesday Night Games. And I thought it went really well, but I'm going to get a player's perspective to talk about it. And then I'm going to talk about preparing for sci-fi games, not just Mothership, maybe. I don't know if there is that much preparation. I think Mothership does a great job of giving you a lot of tools to make it very handy to play. But yeah, it does. And then I'm going to talk about a game that I'm trying to build on the Roll20 as well, where it is another sci-fi game, and I'm doing sort of DIY, and I'll show you how I progressed or how far I've gotten, where I'm going, or whatever. So, but first, the unbox. So, in the tradition of Gothridge Manor by Tim Schwartz and other unboxings, although his was mostly podcast and audio, this has some video to it. Here's the box, as you can see. I'm going to do the measurement because that's kind of what we do. It's a foot wide. It is the foot, sorry for the foot, so that's like 31 centimeters, actually, according to my flippity floppity tape measure. It is 40 centimeters or 15 and I would say 5 to 7/8. Very interesting size. And then it is about, as you will see, oh, we got stuck there. So 12 centimeters or about 5 inches thick. So yeah, got a box cutter here. Kind of cut away. It's the top, what's the bottom? The invisible part is the bottom. To cut away, I cut the short end and then the long end. The razor sharp box cutter. It is there's a couple of products in here. That's the paper. I think it's kind of interesting. I probably mentioned this already, but when I sent some things to Noble Knight Games, buyers and purveyors of many games used and new online, the guy, when I went to go send some, the guy at FedEx Kinko said, "Hey, put this kind of paper in there. Things won't move around." So that's great. But they did that. So what's in the box, you might ask? Because I tossed it aside. Two products, and it is for a game called by Arcane Minis. I think that's the name. Yeah, Arcane Minis. That's the name of the game, and it is the Airship Campaigns book. So it looked pretty cool. I mean, actually, this is like, I don't know, is this a dragon? Armored dragon of some sort on the cover attacking a boat? An airship, maybe. It's in shrink wrap, so I have to open that for a second. But it also came with Razan Assault Frigate map tiles. I guess you could fight on, includes 3 decks and 2 prop sheets, dry erase friendly to use for your game. Yeah, let's open that first. It'll probably be easier to take a look at and review. In the shrink wrap. Oops. Don't want to damage it or anything. So I'm gonna be careful in that. Cut it open. There. Got a little box, right? It's typical that you see. Packaging is really good. I mean, nothing looks damaged, of course. Kind of like a flip top. I'm not a big fan of these. So like Edge, or they're is it Renegade? No, they're Edge Studios now, but before it was Fantasy Flight, and they did their like beginner sets for the Star Wars game and this type of box, and this all is screwed up, honestly. So it's kind of packaged in a couple cardboards, and then it has the oh, it's like one of those. So here's the see the boat, one part of the boat, another part, and oh, yeah, you can have multiple boats, I guess, at the table fighting each other. It looks like says the resin, yeah, just different types, which is kind of cool. You could have oh, it's the decks, I guess. It's the three decks of the boat, and then it has yes, it has these little stickers that somehow my camera went off there, but it has these little stickers as well that you can see that you would put on there and populate the boat. That's pretty cool. It could be very useful, honestly, not just for their particular world that I will get to when I open the book, but also for like a game like Eberron, which has like flying ships and the like, right? So that could be pretty cool for that. That's another reason I don't like these boxes is that the bottom cardboard, when you try to put stuff back in, it gets kind of stuck. So I got to fiddle with that. So while I was fiddling with that, I did take the time to do the shrink wrap and open up the Airship Campaigns book. So it definitely, as you can see, says everything you need to run fantasy airship campaigns in any 5e setting, though it does have its own world. You see it's 5e compatible there. And we'll jump into the book. And they do have like sort of a map of the world. So here's the map. It's a 4-panel map. As you can see here, it is nice in that it has sort of a key or a scale. I guess that's the proper term, a scale here. And you can see here the scale. It's a, it's a poetic map more or less, though it does have a scale, gives you like a rough idea. It talks about all the different places and the like, as you can see. Right, so there's like the northern reaches, more or less. And then on the more southern climbs, and then of course the other two panels as well. So a pretty interesting map. I don't know if it's evocative, super evocative. As we open up, here's a table, so the table of contents that you can see here. And you have a welcome to Sordane. So the world is called Sordane. Again, my camera is acting strange, folks. I apologize. Just kind of coming in and out. Technical difficulties, but welcome to Sordane, as you can see. Esden is sort of the capital city, it looks like, the airship campaigns, how to run them. So the Welcome to Sordane has all the different races, species of Sordane. It didn't, as I looked, it really didn't have stats. I could show you some pictures. So I guess you kind of use the Tasha's, their late incarnation of Tasha's Guide to Everything, the late incarnation where you can put bonuses to stats where you would like, or I guess you could dive in and find something comparable with elves, dragonborn, halflings, etc. Half-orcs, even honestly, Eberron has a lot of different races, species you can play. Has different classes that you can see, and then alignment, magic, what all that means. And then on the other half here, it talks about airships, which was kind of a cool chapter here, airships, and then spell driving, how the airships work, creatures and monsters, which look pretty cool. A lot of aerial based monsters, of course, and then items and economy, and then an appendix, different probably NPCs and the like that you can put, magic items, etc. So they do have like adventures and adventures you can take place in Sordain, but you could definitely use this, adapt this to your own world. You don't have to call it Sordain, you don't have to call it Edzin, but I think what's really cool, and we'll see as we kind of flip through a little bit, so you can see, right? So the different species here um, that you have available. Man, what is these are different types of groups. There's an orc, for example, there. You see some like larger, maybe Goliath or types. Or what is that one? This one here, the with the pseudo bird-like, maybe half orcs, gnomes, halflings, different types of elves. I thought something that was kind of cool is the Dragonborn are a little different. I thought these guys were kind of cool, sort of the flying species, the corvid types that you have here, avians, corvids, eaglins, uh, like these toucan type folks and these Strixons. So that looked pretty cool, I thought. If we flip further, there's some. This is one of the coolest pages. And so they treat, the ships have stat blocks and all this, and these kind of two panels that shows ship comparison sizes is kind of neat. Here's another one that shows like the different ship comparisons and sizes. And there's a cool one here again that shows the different trade boats and whatever that you can have. So I think that's pretty neat. And you can hear like here's an example of like a stat blocks that are there available for the different ships, right? If you kind of the gleaming shard or whatever, then you can see again with these kind of pages, which is kind of neat. Oh, look, there's an autoloid. That's interesting. A hive mind reaper. But they're not mind flayers. I think they're another type of species, like a hive mind bug, insect-like race. It's around. So here's some of the monsters that you can see here. The monsters here. They're going to the typical 5e stat blocks. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting tome. I guess this is sort of part of the hive mind creatures, one of the queens here of that species that seems to be like the hostile species. Different new magic items or equipment for something that I thought was kind of cool if I can find it here. So chapter 7 items and economy and how that works. Like I said, different creatures. You can see, definitely the 5e layout and the 5e sort of art conventions and styles. But I did want to show you something. If my camera would work today, I'll get to it. I thought it was easier to find, but apparently it's not, even though there's the index. It does have an index. So here's like a map of that map, kind of similar to what that fold out map was. They do have maps of the world and even like things on trade winds and the like, different like prosthetics. So there's cybernetics, maybe cyberpunk. This is what I was looking for. There are guns in the world, and different types of guns, as you can see, or weapons that look projectile gun-like. Poison sprayer there, something called the shatter rifle over here, little hand cannons and lightning guns, etc. So it's kind of magic and projectile, as you can see, which I think is kind of neat. So definitely very much of a steampunk type of vibe. There's all the different types of weapons and guns. Polymorph cannon. So maybe it gets a little very high fantasy, etc. And the like. But again, your campaign mileage may vary, and you can have as much of this kind of magic technology gun blend as you can. As you can see, the different types of pistols, um, very much like the different types of pistols that you might see in like a Starfinder or whatever. Maybe you could insert it into like some planet that the players go to in the sort of spell jamming world. And wow, the gun, I mean, this type of technology, magic, techno blend with the airships is common. Maybe a hub in your sort of Spelljammer verse. That seems like it could be a cool idea. Anyway, I just wanted to open this and highlight it. Again, this is the Airship campaigns by Arcane Minis. I will say too, though, that their main focus seems to be because they're always offering, if you go to their website, they're always offering STLs, the different ships and boats. So you could get the STLs and print them out. I'm not really into the 3D printing thing, but hey, if you are, check out Arcane Minis. I'll definitely put the link in the show notes and the like. And you can go check them out. And if this is your thing, or you're interested in a airship campaign or throwing airships and guns and magic guns and aerial type creatures or an aerial campaign into your world, I would recommend this product. It's pretty nice. Nice. I like the art a lot. I do like those 2-page spreads of show the ships. I've always liked sort of that ships in profile that you see in a lot of sci-fi games, and this kind of adds to it. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. And I will be right back. Well, like I promised, I'm joined by a guest. Hello, Amy.
Hello.
And we're going to discuss our experience with Mothership this afternoon. We kind of had a get together today being Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving in the US. And we got together with some friends, had some leftovers, and played an RPG. And that RPG that we played, was Mothership. There's a box set by Tuesday Night Games and written by Sean McCoy.
Mhm.
So there's some questions I was going to ask Amy about the game since she was one of the players. But I forgot to add something about the Arcane Minis product that I open airship campaigns. They do have a section on ship's crew and how to run a ship, which I think is, and of course, ship combat and the like. So I think that's pretty good in that sort of airship type of campaign. I'll just Amy, would you be interested in playing a game where you had like this was sort of uh, steampunk and had airships in it?
That seems kind of funny.
Maybe. I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but
Well, I'm usually good at trying anything. At
yeah,
least
that's
the
true.
first
That's
time.
true. Okay, we'll like Mothership. So tell me, uh, well, we'll try not to spoil it. The Mothership, like I showed the box set. I think, yeah, I showed the box set here.
Mhm.
Um, this is sort of the player's survival guide, and there's some things I'll look out from there. And then we ran another bug hunt. We'll try not to spoil it. It's the adventure that comes in the box set with the Kickstarter that just happened for the Mothership core set. So, Amy, just tell us who you played and how you felt about the game, what you felt about the game.
Well, before I tell you who I played, if anybody knows me, they know my distaste for making characters, but it was very easy because there was an app on the phone and you basically could randomize things and we made an android for me.
Right. It's an Android, and let me see if I can find the name.
Maya Florento, and her nickname was Forento.
Yeah,
No,
so like,
Forento.
well,
But you,
so that she made an Android designation Maya Fiorentino, but it was 4NT0. So
Mhm.
Fiorentino, kind of a nickname or a play on her Android designation, but
yeah,
that was pretty cool.
but you
And
roll for your pronouns and your class and all that kind of stuff, and your trauma responses. And I mean, there were fun little things like, well, maybe it's not fun for the other players, but if you have a fear save made and you're close to me, yeah, you take your next one at disadvantage. So I'm maybe not their best friend in that respect.
right. Yeah, it was good. So like here is I don't know, hard to see. There's like a picture of the character. It shows up as a one, like on one little page on your screen, and you can roll from it and everything. Which I think,
Mm-hmm.
which some people, I think everyone ended up rolling from the app because it tracks things like stress and the like. So one of the mechanics, of course, if you fail a skill roll, then you gain a point of stress, and then stress is important so that when you do, for example, roll a critical failure or something bad happens, like you see a companion die, you have to roll a panic check, and you need to roll above your current stress level to not panic. So kind of like a sanity fear check thing, and you can you can fail not just a fear save, but also sanity save, just seeing something otherworldly that defies description, a body save, which is like, a reflex save or poison save or something like that. And then fear save would be something that shocks you or scares you. So Amy played an android.
Yes, and I had you roll and you get different things, and I had trinkets and patches, and my trinket said, "Is your morale improving?" I think that was kind of funny, but my patch was the best. It said, "Do you sign my paychecks?"
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. But the
Yeah. So
other part about the app that was really cool is that you can actually set up a campaign and we can join it from our phones.
right. So you can play like on the phone, more or less, by joining the
Yes.
campaign. Yeah, I haven't quite explored that option, but I think is pretty cool to do. And the app definitely helps a lot, I think. And people rolled from their phone. It ended up, because I said it kind of tracks things.
Hmm.
People took notes, of course, and also people rolled dice as well for certain things. So it just depended. But it was kind of neat at the table to have that sort of uh,
Yeah. And they included
multiple,
it.
that flexibility, I guess.
Well, yes, but they were nice enough to put a note section on the little character sheet itself. You could roll from it, you could roll dice from it, do all kinds of things. But I thought it was kind of, well, I don't know if it's funny or not funny, but sometimes in the game you end up with contractors.
Yeah, yeah, contractors, right? The people like
Uh-huh.
kind of their equivalent of henchmen
Yeah.
in other games.
Not my character, but another character that played had a couple of henchmen and a dog.
And a
But then
dog, yeah.
you have to roll to see if it's actually a regular dog or something. So that was kind of
Synthetic
fun.
dog, yeah.
Yeah, so it made making characters not so horrible. But I did play an android, and she basically was a hacker and a computer person,
Hmm.
um, which was good. And she was, she was pimping out the revolver. Except I don't think she even shot the revolver, not once, because she ended up with an SMG. And why shoot the revolver then? Because the
Right.
SMG was long distance, but it's a really good melee weapon. But
A close in weapon, yeah. So
yeah, but especially in a game like this, that it starts off telling you that it's a deadly game.
right. I was gonna get to that. So like there's a section on page 16 of the player's book called safety instructions and how to be a great player. And it does say characters die, play smart. So I was
Yeah.
gonna ask Amy like how she felt the game went based on these sort of uh guidelines, and she's already alluded to them, which is funny. And yeah, and she'll tell me how she felt the game went based on these guidelines, I guess. So I'm asking her questions as I go. But play smart, make the most of your time. Do you think you guys played smart?
I think half the group did.
Yeah,
I mean, each player played their character the way they felt their character would be played. But myself and another player, I'm an android, so it's black and white. Things are black and white. It's either good or bad. You do what you're told or you don't. I was told, you know, you have a mission, get it done. Basically, for lack of a better term, don't mess up, right?
right,
And I'm an android. And then we had a scientist with us, and I mean, yeah, he had almost no armor, and he could shoot. He could shoot, and but he was more interested in the science side of it. So we kind of went off on our own, being, like clearing one room at a time, getting our information, moving to the next one, strategically playing the game,
right,
because that's what our characters would do.
right. And the second thing, uh, guideline here is violence is punishing. If you're fighting, you're losing. Violence is deadly and should be avoided at all costs. And I think that was shown that was shown pretty much in the combat portion, and I think I do say that. I mean, that's kind of the only. It is mostly an investigative game. It gives you clues. You try to figure out the mystery, I would say. And we just did like a this kind of small taste of the full adventure,
Hmm.
and it was exploratory for the most part. But there was a combat that was, I would say, bound to happen. Maybe, maybe it could have been avoided. Um, I don't know if it could have been avoided necessarily, or it could have been mitigated a little better. But it definitely was very tense. I think definitely one character said, "We're gonna die. We're all gonna die here." So, you know. I guess the great thing is what. So while violence occurred, the investigations really helped in the end, um, by the non-combatants to really almost save the day, I would say.
Oh yeah.
So the third point is the odds are stacked against you. Uh, Roles are punishing in Mothership, right? No one has great skills, truth be told, and then every time you fail, you get stressed. So find ways to stack the odds in your favor. So how do you think that went?
Well, again, I can only speak for the way that the other character and I were playing, but I mean, it was kind of obvious to us that, I mean, first of all, you don't have a ton of hit points. So you got to be a little careful. You don't have a lot of armor, so got to be even more careful. But the big thing is stress. You start the game stressed to begin with.
Mhm.
And so the idea is to limit your stressors because that's where all the bad stuff starts happening, I guess.
Yeah, it can really spiral out of control. People start panicking. Everyone starts panicking. Right.
Right, but everybody has these different responses, these trauma responses. So,
Mhm.
like my character, if somebody was, you know, doing a fear save and they were near me, then they take it at a disadvantage. Well, that's in the beginning, I guess it's okay because everyone starts off with two stress. You just can't get over 20, I think.
Yeah,
But
once you get over 20, you start taking from your stats, I believe. Um,
yeah, so you want to stay as low as possible. So, I mean, you want to be cognizant of what everybody's little responses are to trauma. I think there was one character and only one character out of the group that actually had a positive trauma response. I think the rest of
yeah,
us all had negatives.
right. The roughneck has like you can re-roll or something like that. Re-roll a panic.
Something along that, but only once, I thought, or something
Yeah, we
along
had a
those
good.
lines.
We did have a marine. We had the four character options: a marine, an android, a scientist, and a roughneck. So I thought that worked out pretty well.
The roughneck kind of hung out with the Marines.
Yeah,
And ironically, that's where the dog that I talked about
just the
earlier, the
marine got a
contractors
random
were.
loadout. Or was a dog.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I kind of felt as though, and I can only speak to our characters. The other characters, I don't know what they were thinking because I wasn't playing them, but my character, like I said, is an android. So if you tell me this is your mission, this is how you do it, don't get into fights. I'm going to get my mission done. I'll, do it to the best of my ability and I will avoid fights. And the scientist, just because I was finding cool things and we had these visual comms in our suits so we could see what the other players were seeing,
Right,
you know, if we didn't, if we saw something, you still could get a feared from it though.
right, right,
But at one point in time, the other character that was with me was like, "Oh, I want to go over there and see what they're doing." And then I'm like, "Oh, I found this." And he just came running back. I forget what he rolled that I think it was like a critical success or something. And he was just about running back to what I found. And it was,
right.
I don't want to say too much, but
Yeah, yeah. It was good. It was like a lot of it's very. I think it definitely fit a lot of the touchstone type of movies and fiction that Mothership talks about. So aliens. I think one of the players actually mentioned, "Oh, this reminds me of a Warhammer 40K Horus Heresy story." So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, so the couple more things: make difficult choices. So you want to survive the ordeal, solving the mystery, saving the day. And sometimes they're mutually exclusive. I think in this case, um, some of the information that the investigative types found really went on to benefit the ones that were involved in the violence and kind of saved the day. So I think in this case, surviving the ordeal and solving the mystery up to that point at least, were not mutually exclusive. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
there was I definitely there was some luck involved. I mean, it could have gone, um, uh, so the henchman died, and it could have gone really bad for one of the characters, the character Marine, because he was attacked, took a wound, but then didn't roll bad on the wounds. Rolled like the
no, he rolled the
most
only thing
minimum
that
result. Huh?
he rolled the only thing that he could actually roll to not get as bad of a result. I mean,
Yeah,
if he
not
had
get
rolled
totally
anything else,
debilitated. Yeah,
yeah, he would have died.
or been really like, I mean, in that table you can like on that table, the wound table, you can lose limbs, you can bleed
Hmm.
out. Right. There's also like a if you roll high enough, you're dead, right? So
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a game. First of all, I don't know how you would do solo play.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not. There might be a solo way to do it, but I guess you'd if you did solo play, you'd have like more contractors. You'd have like more henchmen.
Right, but
I think
there
you could. I mean, you could. Be a
you'd have to
corporate
be
with a
very
bunch of mercenaries or
careful.
something.
You'd have to be careful about what character you decided to play.
Right.
And I mean, it even states that it can be a deadly game, and I think can is a stretch. I think it is a deadly game,
Mhm.
like a
Right.
deadly post-apocalyptic game, which I tend to like those. But I mean, you have to before you start the game, you have to think through what am I gonna need because once you're in the mission, you can't go back for anything.
Yeah, that's true. This is true. But you guys found stuff. I think that was kind of neat. There's a lot of loot to be found, which I thought was fine. And there's no like ever a need for like perception checks or spot hidden checks, which I thought was good too. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So the last thing is, remember, like, you should also expect, and maybe I don't know if this happened to you, and maybe ask how you felt. Paying attention, to pay attention, stay focused, and plug into the fictional world. It helps you and everyone else to get into the spirit of the game and to have a more immersive experience. How do you think that worked? Do you feel it was immersive? Do you think people were taking it seriously despite the different ways they played, whether it was investigative or more, exploratory, I would say.
It's kind of hard for me to answer that question.
Right.
I played it that way, and the scientists played it that way. The other ones, I think they did.
No, they definitely started putting the clues together. But they're like, I guess that's a funny thing is that like they were finding a set of clues and you guys were finding a set of clues, and it wasn't until the end that you put some of these clues together and go, oh, that type of thing. So I do feel like there's people paid attention. I feel though, while we kind of did joke around at the beginning, once we got going, um, I felt that people kind of bought into it, got serious, were like, oh, like the scientists, collecting all the specimens and doing what scientists do. And since you had already restarted the computers, you were able to collect data and stuff like that. So, and then the other guys kind of looking for survivors and finding not the sort of computer and scientific clues, but sort of the more the social clues, right? The people, what happened to the people type of clues, right? So
Mhm. You can showcase your character's abilities in this game, I think,
yeah, and again,
regardless
I
of
think
what
it's a
character you
puzzle.
play.
It's more of a puzzle game, and I would say it's pretty deadly. So it just gets more of a story game because I think there's a lot of leeway. You can maybe correct me if you thought I approached it wrong, and of course I'm always willing to improve. Um, but I feel like it's definitely amenable to like the sort of yes and or yes type of GMing style, right? So yeah, you guys want to do that? Yeah, go for it. This is the way you could do it. Here's another option. Um, I think there's more story and narrative elements because I think that's what you want to do is avoid having to roll if you don't have to.
Right. Rolling usually can have bad consequences. So the less rolling you do, the better. And I think the best way to show our listeners and our viewers the game is perhaps maybe put it on display on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, maybe run a session. If not this one, then another type of game or another adventure. There's definitely other adventures, not other than just the bug hunt. I could actually there in the Warden's book, which is like the game master's book. It's called the Warden in this game. That there's a way that you can sort of make a random adventure, which is kind of
Hmm.
neat. And it talks about how to journal and kind of journal out your set of your systems and your planets and your factions and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty really good system. I enjoyed running it. Um, they also have like there's a lot of like warnings. That's the last point I guess is it is a horror game. Um, I don't I don't know. You guys are I feel like you guys are pretty jaded. Um, maybe I'm, but it's a horror game. I could deal with some uncomfortable topics. I feel like there is a bit of gore. Not really. I don't know. There's not really a lot of shock horror. I don't know if people play it. I know at least there's a couple like, oh, I wasn't expecting that type of thing. You know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
so I thought that was kind of neat. But so what do you feel like things went well in that regard? That there was enough explanation up front, and so that people didn't feel uncomfortable? I don't think anyone felt uncomfortable.
I don't think anyone felt uncomfortable. I think the only uncomfortableness in the room was whether or not one player was going to take the other player's dog, but that was just being funny, not anything along that line.
Yeah, those kind of pre-play,
Just joshing.
yeah, joshing.
But I mean, I do think the game lends itself to either playing face to face or online
Yeah.
because you can either use the app, which we played in person with the app and it was very easy. It seems like play went pretty quickly. I don't think it was slow or dragging anywhere.
Yeah.
And it was nice to play a game where I could not figure out what was going to necessarily happen next. A lot of RPGs you kind of can. This
Oh,
one
so you
kind
felt
of
like you were surprised about what happened.
some things.
Oh, okay. That's good. It's hard to surprise Amy, honest. So,
Sometimes, because I play enough post-apocalyptic games, and this one's slightly, well, I don't want to say slightly in a like a little minuscule way, but it is different than some of the other ones that
yeah.
you really do need to heed the advice that you're given by the game's designers and to the GMs before they run it. If you heed the advice, you have a chance to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it was pretty cool. I think it was a good place we ended it too. We just played like one session, and I just wanted to check it out, test it out, see how the group felt about it, and I'd like to continue either online or live, maybe both. Just
But
depends.
I definitely would like to show our viewers character creation.
Right.
And they have on the app you can watch. I think it's not a debriefing. It was um where you're supposed to go on and you learn about the game.
And it even has quizzes.
It
I
does
mean,
have a
it
quiz,
is,
so
yeah,
it's
I guess
pretty
it
funny.
embraces sort of this sort of idea of the company, right? Because you guys work for the company, generally speaking, the default way of play is like your mercenaries or guns for hire or troubleshooters, investigators working for the company and trying to solve the company's problems that they want to, not lose their own security assets to do, I guess. But
It
but
I
it's funny because like um yeah, they have like let's see if I can find it.
It reminds me of that game that we like to watch, Crime Scene Cleanup. That's what we are. We're there to clean,
Oh yeah,
clean
yeah,
up
yeah.
the messes.
Yeah, it has a sort of learn to play course, right?
Yes, that is very cute.
Yeah, it's like a course and intro how to make characters, what is role playing, et cetera, et cetera. And then even get a certificate when you complete it. It's like really like a company training thing. It's funny.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, there's some definitely
it's like you're
some humor.
onboarding.
What?
It's like onboarding into a
Yeah, you're
company,
onboarding onto the game, right? It's like an onboarding video. It's really
which
funny.
is it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I don't know if you. Oh, thank you so much, Amy. Do you have any other things that um, stood out or that you enjoyed or
Well, I can't say too much because
true, true. Yeah, you don't
that
want to
gives
spoil it. We're
away
trying not to spoil it.
trying not to spoil it. And we can even run this adventure on here, and then I don't want to spoil it for our listeners and viewers either,
Right.
because we definitely want the likes and the thumbs up and the subscribers. But I mean, I think what would be kind of fun for people to experience
Hmm.
is like how many times you're going to roll something and fail.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if there's a little bit of frustration for some of the players. I don't know.
Well, it kind of tells you that you're going to fail most
Yeah,
of the
I
time.
mean, I know. Yeah, it was. I
Especially
don't
on
know.
the onboarding, it tells you you're mostly going to fail.
Right.
Again, it's heeding the advice.
And again, and really, like I didn't, unless the situation was stressful, I didn't really have you roll, or I tried to limit rolls. If your character would know what to do, or you had the right tools, like you setting up the computer to download all that info. You know what I mean? I really didn't roll for that. So things like that. So I probably need to be a little better at that. But if it's a stressful situation or there's a consequence for failure, you know, then I think that's when you roll. But if it's like almost a routine thing, there's no need to because you guys are at least competent in what's normal. It's just when you're in a stressful situation is when you're supposed to roll and see what the consequences are.
Mhm.
So I think one player just took it in stride. Um, but I did overhear one player just kind of getting a little like frustrated. But I think what's fun is like you guys during the course of the exploration, you guys all found a pack of smokes, and when the when I guess the debris cleared or whatever, then you all had like a smoke break, and it was pretty funny.
Well, they did. I'm an android. I don't
Yeah, you're an
smoke.
android. You can pretend. Right.
I
That's
think they
fine.
needed the cigarettes to recover a little more than I did. I mean, my character, I think the highest amount of stress my character had during the game was 4,
Hmm.
but that's because androids don't get stressed as much
Right.
because we don't really get afeared.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, the other players were hitting the poor stress dice, and yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. But I think it is along the lines of some of the games you can see over my left shoulder, like the board games, Morkborg, Cyborg, where in a way you're more inclined to fail than succeed. Um,
Well, I would say Walking Dead is like that.
yeah, yeah,
Twilight 2000 is like that.
hmm
Not that you're set up to fail, it's just a very deadly system.
hmm
Um, there's other ones like that. Not Pendragon, but some of the other ones out there are like that. And I would say that you don't need a whole lot of dice, just the percentiles
and a D20. Yeah, that's it.
and a d20, and can sit down and play maybe while you're having breakfast. Who knows?
Right, right. Yeah, this is probably true. Play at the table because you have the app and the die roll and everything. All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy. I don't know if you want to stay on for the last segment I was going to do.
I can.
Okay. And all right. So I'm gonna share my screen. So, so there's another game, another sci-fi game. It is a well-known property that is Twilight Imperium, and it's very popular because of this board game, and it uses the Genesis system. So I've been um, trying to set up here on Roll20, and you can see how I've started. I have a couple characters here that you can see, and we'll take a look at the characters. But it does use the Genesis system, which is, if you're the Genesis system, rolls a bunch of dice with symbols on it, and you kind of roll a pool of dice and interpret the symbols. Very similar to the Star Wars Edge, the Edge Star Wars game, formerly Fantasy Flight game. And what is cool is that there is a character sheet on Roll20 for it, and you can set it up, and it will roll the different dice for you. And I think that's and however, well, there's two forms of the character sheet. One uses the API script, which if you have a pro subscription, which I do have a pro subscription, you're able to load up the API script, and it'll roll for you and show you the symbols and the dice. And the other one I didn't use because I have the API script, but there is a non-API version of the character sheet. So I guess you might either have to use your own set of dice, if you have them, or maybe it rolls and it it probably doesn't go through the different symbols or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it does it like more of a macro script as opposed to an API script. But yeah, so have you haven't heard of Twilight Imperium, have you, Amy?
No.
But it is definitely a space opera type of game, right? You could see bad aliens, but maybe good aliens, character here, and human
Well,
here.
that human character looks like my character from Rifts.
Oh, does it? Yeah, this is major. So this is Ashes of Power, which was the the adventure given out for free RPG Day. They have the Twilight Imperium book, Embers of the Empire, or something like that. And then they have a adventure book out for this. But I wanted to set up and run just to see how it worked. The Ashes of Power quick start that is from a free RPG Day. I think from I want to say from it's from actually from uh 2021. Wow. Okay. This game has been out quite a bit, and I'm only now getting to it some 3 years later. So I don't know. I guess it's probably slow development potentially, or this came out before the actual book, the rule book, and that does a preview, and then so I think they had a 2022 offering, and then a 2024 offering, which was the adventure book. So I guess if it's popular enough, they'll keep releasing products. But um, I don't know. I think it's really neat. It's a cool property, and I wanted to explore it. So we'll take a look at the character. So what I've done so far, you can see here on the right hand side is I have like the character sheet and yeah, character sheet and like a picture. So this is like the character sheet from the adventure. Um, you can see here. I don't know if you can. How legible is that? Can you see that?
I can see it.
Yeah. So you could roll. You could go off the character sheet to know what you got to roll, um, or not. So that's and or read it and learn what your talents are. But then I also have created some character sheets. We're just looking at Major Prod Prodhan, Major Jana Prodhan. And you can see here, like here's a picture, and then her motivation, agenda, and then how to, some touch some points, key points on how to potentially play her. Of course, you could play it however you want to,
Mhm.
but the motivation that this pre-gen has, the agenda. And then there's 4 pre-gens in this free RPG Day offering. And then they have like a supplement that has 2 more player characters and some extra parts of the adventure if you wanted to continue the adventure, which I think is kind of nice it's a good intro, I think, to maybe the campaign that they have, the adventure book campaign they have. So here's the character sheet. it's a pretty interesting character sheet. I'll kind of go down, kind of go over it. But you have your wounds and your strain, your soak. If you have armor, your defenses here. And then it'll have on the first page your character info. I guess I should ask Amy, are you familiar with this sort of Genesis system? I think you played Star Wars, right?
I played Star Wars.
Yeah. So you play the Star Wars game. Um,
If I
and
remember correctly, it's very easy.
yeah, so here's all the character info, just some basic info. I didn't really fill out the motivation stuff because it's on the, you just click over to the bio and look at that. And then you have your skills here, um, your characteristics and all that that would be on that character sheet. And then your different skills. And you can see like that it's already populated what the dice pool would be, right? So I think what's pretty interesting is like, let's say if I wanted to do an athletics check and it was, so you'd set this sheet up. You don't need to add anything on the left side, but then you'd set up sort of the difficulty. Let's say it says make it for simplicity, make it an easy check, right? So you add one of these types of dice, the purple dice. I think they're called threat dice, but we can make sure that we get the terminology correctly, right? There's those types of dice with the different symbols. So, right, so the purple dice are difficulty die, actually. The green dice are called ability dice, and the yellow dice are called proficiency dice. And then you have the red dice, red D12s would be challenge dice. And then you sometimes have the blue dice, which are nice. They're called boost dice. But then setback dice are the black dice. So you just create this population for simplicity's sake. We'll just make it an easy task. So I had set one difficulty die. And then you can roll directly from the character sheet. We'll roll the athletics. And then you see here what the result is on the right there that you got two successes. Um, and yeah, two successes. And I guess an advantage and a threat cancel each other out. So your net result is two successes for your athletics check. And then
Do
you
you
can
want to
see,
show us what it does if you add in a black die?
yeah, I can add in a difficulty dice, or maybe it's like you're trying to climb a wall and it's slick or raining, and then someone's shooting at you, right? So you can even upgrade the difficulty one. So then that'll turn the difficulty dice into a challenge dice. And then you don't have to change anything on the left at all, right? Unless you have like get a boost dice and then you put one there. So then you roll that athletics check. And what does that do? It looks like it's nothing. It's a wash, right? So then it's a push, or really it's not a success. So you're either hung up and haven't made any progress in your climb here or your athletics test, and you could potentially roll again, or maybe get a player to help you out or something like that, give you cover fire or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think what's kind of cool here, and then this button here, this kind of rotating button kind of resets everything, which is nice. I think what I thought was really cool, and hopefully this will work. I mean, here it has like initiative here for you. So if it's unexpected, vigilance, or cool if it's prepared. So you'd roll like initiative, no difficulty on initiative. And here, someone, if it's unexpected attack, a sudden attack, well, Major Pradhan is ready to go. 3 successes and 2 advantages. So that's pretty good. And then weapons wise, here you have our weapon, which is a grazer carbine. And then here's the damage, the critical threshold, and then any sort of abilities it has here. So this particular gun has AP5, it ignores 5 points of soak, but it has an unstable power supply. So if I can spend 2 threat to have it run out of juice or ammo. It's a ranged heavy, so it uses that. And then you can roll, so medium range, so that would be easy task also if it's at ideal range. But let's say it's against a tough bad guy who adds a difficulty dice. um, right, for that situation. And then you just kind of roll here on this thing, and hopefully it comes up. Yes, it does. So here in this case, the damage is 3. That was for the knife. Unfortunately, I was trying to roll for but that was the knife in melee combat. So that's a success, right? So it's a 3, 4. It's a 3 plus 2. So that's 5 damage, but then a complication. This denotes a complication. And then if we were to be shooting, wow, okay.
That's even better.
Yeah, but oh, that's really good. The proficiency dice rolled a triumph, so um that's a lot of damage. That's like 8 damage, 9 damage plus a crit, because this is also worth 3 advantages. But that was a really fantastic result. So good job, Major Pradon. You just probably annihilated your foe or hurt them really bad.
Thank you, but I really did nothing.
Right. So that's how the kind of works. I think it's kind of fun, and hopefully I'll get to set this up at some point. I really do like how the dice roller works, and it just be kind of setting it up for people, or explaining it to people. And then so the cool thing too, another thing about the character sheet, so the weapons, talents, and powers are on the same tab here. So there's the various talents, but you can also look at the handout sheet that I have for them too. So here, like adaptable once per session, you can use a story point, which is like a fate point, to use any skill check. When to use any skill. Yeah. And then when you make a check to heal strain, you get 1 additional strain back. And then this is a good one here. Once per turn as a maneuver, you can use this talent up to 2 allies engage with you at advantage to all combat checks, which could definitely lead to some critical rolls. Because the advantage dice, they can give you, yeah, the advantages can give critical results, because that's how you denote when you get a critical, is the number of advantages you get. So,
Well, maybe our listeners and our viewers, if they want to see the game, should give us a thumbs up.
yeah, maybe.
Or if you're not watching on the YouTube, they could call in and let us know if they'd like to see it, because it looks like it'd be fun. I think always down for something new.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just say we'll see. We'll see how we're gonna put this up for sure on the YouTube. But I have other things in mind for the podcast. Try to keep, sometimes they're separate, sometimes they're the same. Obviously, if it's just the podcast, it's going to be repeated, just in voice only on the YouTube channel. But sometimes I want those to be separate and a bit unique, not sort of a repeat. But we'll see, right? We'll see. All right. Well, thanks, Amy, for joining me.
You're welcome.
And thanks for playing in Mothership. And hopefully we'll get that on the channel, actual play, and also maybe Twilight Imperium as well.
Thank you for not permanently sleeping my character.
Right. Well, you guys, I think you came together at the end, solved the situation, went on to the next part of the mission.
And the other character got the big boom he was always after.
Yes, and the character's got the big boom. Yep. All right. Wake of destruction in the rear view mirror is always a good thing. All right. Thank you so much for listening. This has been the Geomologist Presents. Good night and good rolling.